Good afternoon. Another fun day at replacing gears, broken gears and locos. Unfortunately, Trains and Train-A-Rama are the two biggest offenders that we have. These little black gears, put it on there so you can see. These little black gears, get cracks in them. Some are worse than others. When the crack happens, the crack runs down in between two teeth. The teeth spread, and that's where you get your clicking sound from. Back in the day, before we had replacement gears, we used to press collars onto the ends and squash the gear back together again. Thank goodness we don't have to do that, because it was very time consuming. I spent a lot of time doing it. Wasn't my choice job, but it did work. To give you an example of what was involved in that, there's some that have been done. You'll see the little brass collars on them. They do work very well, but a lot of time spent doing it. We don't do that anymore. Now, if you can see that pile of gears there, let's move the camera a little bit more so you can see that pile of gears there. There's some probably 60 gears. That's what I replaced last night on different locos for people. I do a run of them every so often, and we replace them. Some of the gears that we replace, as you can see, these new red ones. I'll hold that up there so you can see it a bit better. They're a fantastic replacement. However, they are very tight to press onto an axle. So what I do before I put them on an axle is I run one of these, which is a number 24 number drill. And I'll run it through my hand. Just takes a wipe out, makes it a little bit easier to press on, and they will last longer. They won't crack. Problem with that is it is a 12 tooth gear, as is the ones that I'm using today, which are 12 tooth, the white ones. The overall diameter of the red one is about 0.5 millimeter bigger than the white one. Therefore, they don't mesh quite as well in an NR. They will go well in T classes, Y classes, etc. These red gears are fantastic for replacement. But unfortunately in an NR, they don't work. We need to have the white ones. Problem with the white ones are that they need to be slightly altered. They need to be beveled, and I'm about to show you how I do this. It's pretty easy, just a little bit time consuming if you're doing lots of them. A little file in your Dremel. You just take the outside edge off, just so that they don't foul so much in the housing, which I'll show you is what happens shortly. Once you've done that, you will have to remove the bits of plastic from inside the teeth. There again, watch how I do it. Doesn't take long. Just a matter of flicking them out the way. And once they're all done, then we can start the installation process. But you must do this in order to allow the gear just a little bit more room to float. These particular gears can be bought as a 12 tooth or a 11 tooth. Footnote, when ordering these, a lot of the ads say 12. Unfortunately, I've made the mistake many years ago when I first started buying these. I seen 12 and I thought, yes, beautiful, that's what I want. So I ordered them. But what I was actually after wasn't 12. I was after an 11 tooth gear, not a 12 tooth gear, and vice versa. They come in packs of 12. Make sure you read the ad properly. Nowadays, a lot of the ads are posted that they're to suit. That'll be T class, Y class, X class, or 11 tooth. That's for a 12 tooth. An 11 tooth will be things like Train-A-Rama rather. Train-A-Rama will run 11 tooth, which looks identical to these. So just make sure that when you do purchase gears, that you are purchasing the correct for your application. It's just a simple mistake, can be made. I tend to be on top of it now when I order gears. I often order about 100 at a time because we use so many of them. Now, for insulation, there's your little gear axle. Just lightly press that onto the first axle. Not all the way, just a little bit. Take the second axle. Slide that into there. They are a bit firm. Now, to get your gauge correct again, I use a vernier. And they should be at just a fraction over 20 millimeters. You can see that there. And then we go like this. As you can see, it needs to be a bit closer. So just a smidgen in on both sides. Just so you can see. Still just a fraction tight. Have a look. You might have one more than the other. Just a tiny little bit more until they fit. Should be somewhere close to it now. There we go. That will give you the correct gauge. Some people tend to do it differently. Some will get pedantic and do it like this, flange to flange, which is okay, it's acceptable. But if you do it like that, that will give you the correct gauge for an Austrains Trainorama wheels. They all go the same. Simply just take it, sit it in the hole. Now there is a gap between the gear and the bearing. Some people prefer to put a little, you can use a bit of heat shrink and put a little heat shrink tube there to stop the bearing from moving. Personally, I've never had any trouble with the bearings moving. They, once they're all clipped back together, they seem to be very happy in the way they perform. And you don't seem to have too much trouble with them. A lot of the new kits now that are supplied, here's an example of a bag that I've just recently received. It comes complete with the heat shrink. They are 11-tooth gears. As I said, the ones we are replacing today are 12. They look identical. Be careful, make sure that when you buy them, that you do buy what it is that you require. Otherwise, you will end up a bit disappointed. You can go to the task of fitting them all, getting them ready. You put them in, and the thing won't work properly. And that's only because a simple mistake, like the gear that you've used, is incorrect. And pop that one in there. Need to be very careful when removing the covers off these bogies too. Some brands will come off very easy, others can be very hard. Austrains remove nice and easily. Trainorama can be absolute pain to do. They do have a couple of different ways of doing it, depending on which particular series it is. Some are easier than others. Almost got this one done. There we go. That one's correct. Pop him in. Now, you see how that, if you can see how they move, this is why we take the little chamfer off. If you have a look in the bogie housing, you'll see there's a little bit of a check out on either side of where that sits. If you put a chamfer in, you will allow it to float in and out of there, which will make life so much better. Simply return the housing on. That's one end complete. I'll go ahead and do the other end, and then we'll put him on the test track and give him a quick run. I'll be back.